In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, lived a young man named Aaron. Aaron had a dream so big it felt like a shadow looming over him, intimidating him. He wanted to build something that would change the world, but he was completely lost, with no idea where to even begin. Every single morning, he would gaze at the massive mountain that stood guard behind his village. It was ancient, towering, seemingly impossible to climb, and every morning he'd make the same empty promise to himself: "I'll start tomorrow." But as we all know, that kind of tomorrow has a way of never arriving. Aaron tried everything he could think of. He buried himself in books about success. He watched from the sidelines as others achieved their great ambitions. But every time he started something new, a familiar pattern emerged. After just a few days, he would quit. Sometimes he'd blame himself, whispering harsh words of doubt. Other times, he'd curse his luck. But deep down, a single toxic belief had taken root in his mind. If I can't be great immediately, then why even bother trying? And so the days bled into weeks, the weeks melted into months, and the months turned into years. Aaron remained at the foot of his mountain, a prisoner of his own dreams, never taking a single step forward. One sunny afternoon, as Aaron was wandering aimlessly, he came across an old man sitting by the village gates. The man's clothes were simple, but his eyes held a deep, knowing wisdom. He looked at Aaron, a gentle kindness in his gaze, and asked, "Why do you look so lost, young one?" Aaron let out a long, heavy sigh. "I have this dream," he confessed, "but it just feels too big. Every time I try, I fail. I guess I'm just not talented enough." The old man smiled, a soft, understanding smile. "Come with me," he said. He led Aaron to the foot of the great mountain, the very one that haunted his thoughts. Then he pointed to a narrow, winding path that Aaron had somehow never noticed before. "This," the old man declared, "is the path to your dream." Aaron stared, bewildered, "But the mountain is too high. I'll never make it to the top." The old man stooped down and picked up a small, ordinary stone from the ground. He held it out to Aaron. "Do you see this? This is your first step. And every great journey, no matter how daunting, begins with just one small step." Aaron frowned, confused. "That's it. Just ... one step." "Yes," the old man affirmed. "Do it every day. One small step. And eventually, the mountain itself will seem to move for you." The very next morning, Aaron returned to the mountain. He didn't try to conquer it. He didn't even think about the summit. He simply walked a few meters up the path, and then he turned around and went home. It felt silly. It felt almost laughably easy. But he remembered the old man's words, and he kept going. Day after day, step after small, seemingly insignificant step. Some days the sun shone brightly, encouraging him onward. On other days, the rain poured down so hard his clothes clung to his skin and the path turned to mud. Some days he was full of energy, practically skipping up the trail. Other days, he had to drag his feet, every step an act of sheer will. But through it all, one thing remained constant. He showed up. After several weeks of this routine, Aaron stopped and looked up. He wasn't even halfway. A wave of exhaustion and frustration washed over him. He felt so incredibly slow. What's the point of this? He thought to himself, this is taking forever. He was on the verge of turning back, of giving up for good, when he heard the soft crunch of footsteps behind him. It was the old man, thinking of quitting. He asked gently. Aaron looked down at his worn-out shoes, ashamed. I'm just too slow. Anyone else would have reached the top by now. The old man let out a soft, warm laugh. Who are you racing against? The mountain? Or are you trying to keep pace with someone else's journey? Aaron stayed silent, the question hanging in the air. The old man continued, you're climbing your dream, not theirs. Small steps are still steps forward. And I'll tell you a secret. Consistency will always take you farther than raw talent ever could. Aaron closed his eyes. He took a deep, steadying breath, filling his lungs with the crisp mountain air. And then he continued climbing. Months passed. Aaron didn't notice the changes at first, but they were happening. His legs grew stronger, more powerful. His confidence grew quietly, like the first light of dawn. He no longer feared the mountain. He respected it. He had found his rhythm. He began to wake up early each day, not with a sense of dread, but with a quiet excitement to take his next step. Even on the hard days, the days he wanted to stay in bed, the days his body ached, he showed up. And soon he realized something surprising. He was enjoying the journey even more than he was focused on the destination. The quiet mornings, the cool breeze on his face, the steady rhythm of his walking, the undeniable sense of progress. They were changing him from the inside out. Aaron was no longer the boy who feared the climb. He had become someone consistent, disciplined, focused, patient. Finally, after many, many months, Aaron took his last step and found himself at the top. The sky above him opened up like a magnificent painting. He looked down, and the village below looked so small, not because it had shrunk, but because he had grown so much. He whispered to himself, a sense of awe in his voice, I did it. One small step at a time. As if on cue, the old man appeared beside him again, that familiar, knowing smile on his face. Now you understand, he said. The secret was never about talent. It was about consistency. You see, you don't need to be great to start, but you absolutely must start if you ever want to be great. Aaron looked at his hands. They were the same hands he had always had, but now they felt different. Now they held strength, discipline, courage. On that mountain, he had learned a profound truth he would carry with him for the rest of his life. Success is not built in a day. Success is built daily. And if you too take one small step today, and then another one tomorrow, and another the day after that, One day, you'll look back from the summit and realize that you have climbed your mountain too, because your dreams don't require perfection, they just require your consistency. Thanks for watching.